This was esports in 1972, and this is it now. From competing in arcades for magazine subscriptions to sold-out stadiums, grand prize pools pushing $20 million, and events live streamed to millions of concurrent viewers, esports has evolved into a billion-dollar industry serving an audience of upwards of 500 million people. This is the history of esports, specifically Apex Legends, a AAA battle royale hero shooter that dropped hot out of nowhere on February 4th of 2019. Esports orgs around the world flock to fill competitive rosters, but with no competitive support or investment from EA or Respawn, a lack of custom matches and ranked leagues, plagued with bugs, cheaters, and server issues with questionable weapon and legend balancing, the competitive scene we have today almost didn't exist. Orgs were abandoning Apex within 6 months, and payouts for players were borderline insulting. Now, I've covered the entire history of Apex Legends season by season and its complete story and lore within the Titanfall universe, but there's really no great summary of the competitive side of Apex anywhere, so I thought,
fine, I'll do it myself.
Apex Legends launched with 8 legends to choose from, with Mirage and Caustic unlocked via Apex coins or legend tokens. The only map was the OG Kings Canyon. Lifeline had her fast revive and shield with 25% quicker item use. Bloodhound's scan was butt cheeks. Mirage's joke of an ult borrowed the active camo from Halo. Pathfinder was whipping around on his grapple every 13 seconds. Wraith was Naruto. Bangalore moved fast as fuck, boy. And all you sociopaths landed bunker every time. The triple take G7 and Longbow were considered sniper rifles, although sniper ammo wasn't a thing. You could slap 3 times and 2 to 4 times scopes on SMGs. The wingman was wiping squads in seconds without a reload. The gold backpack was cracked with its 50% faster item healing. Evo shields didn't exist, and because you didn't drop in with helmets, body armor, shields, or syringes like you do now, RNG played a much bigger factor off the rip. You could also hoard twice as many grenades and more healing items per slot, although there were fewer. Aside from the somewhat unbalanced characters, weapons, and game mechanics, the gameplay was unlike anything else at the time. Unfortunately, servers were unpredictably laggy or made you move in ultra slow-mo for the first few minutes. Footstep audio was inconsistent. You could jump kit all over the map with a redeploy exploit, and cheaters were rampant on PC. But despite its issues, people loved Apex for its fast-paced, snappy gunplay with fluid movement mechanics, not some clunky thing with complex looting systems, and nobody was cranking 90s. Usually, a competitive esports community takes time to build up around a game, starting with small grassroots competitive events and tournaments that catch the eyes of investors, advertisers, and esports orgs over time. But Apex was different. Within days, competition between orgs assigned the best players was underway behind the scenes. While many of us were just learning to kick doors, TSM was signing their first ever official Apex Legends roster, as did 100 Thieves, Sentinel, Space Station Gaming, Cloud9, Team Liquid, Luminosity, Dignitas, CLG, NRG, Navi, Complexity, and many others. The investment into creating the teams wasn't overly costly for the orgs, though. P1 Esports founder and owner of the Sentinels, Rob Moore, said the investment for Apex Legends was relatively low compared to games where players were competing locally and needed housing like Overwatch and League of Legends. So while pro rosters were getting filled, the first sizable event occurred just over a week after release, Twitch Rivals, pitting some of the largest Twitch streamers at the time against each other in North America and Europe over a total prize pool of $50,000 per region. It was meant to be fun, but not really competitive. People were still figuring out how to use legend abilities, and the casters were just kind of explaining how the game works most of the time.
Finished. No, not that that wasn't a finisher, by the way, but that character was definitely finished.
Because there were no custom lobbies yet, the format was a kill race style tournament where each team had 4 hours to get as many kills as possible, with kills counting as 1 point and wins counting as 5 points to their overall score. Viewership peaked at over 500,000 concurrent on Twitch from the main broadcast and creators that participated, and in the end, Team Kings Canyon with Ninja, King Richard, and Dizzy came out on top by literally 1 point.
You guys are gonna be surprised. I wanna know who it is. It was King Canyon by
1 point! 420 for the win! Oh,
Dizzy was the fan favorite after becoming not only the first player to reach level 100 in just 6 days after release, but also held the world record for most solo kills at 33 before the tournament even started. But that only lasted a week until Mendo dropped a 36 bomb.
Is that world record?
Only 36 kills, Resident Sleeper. Yeah, okay. Remember I was saying kills don't matter, nothing matters? I'm a little bit shaky right now. That was fucking fun, man.
Disappointed in his performance from Twitch rivals, the Doc teamed up with Boom TV and Esports Arena to host the first Code Red tournament.
It is time for the $20,000 Apex Legends Code Red tournament. Buckle up.
8 high-octane teams competed in a double elimination bracket across several matches with 1 point scored from kills and 8 for wins. Embarrassing their competition, Team Kings Canyon came out on top by a landslide this time, and after swapping Ninja out for Mendo, went on to win the next 2 Code Red tournaments as well in the coming months. Now, there were a bunch of Code Red tournaments and Twitch Rivals challenges in 2019 that led into the major TwitchCon Europe and San Diego events, but we'd be here all day if I cover every single thing, considering there were also hundreds of smaller and medium-sized tournaments like the first officially licensed Face It Apex Legends Pro Series. So let's go.
Faster.
TwitchCon Europe, the first S-tier international tournament played at LAN in Berlin with finally some custom private lobbies, mostly dominated by 3 stacks of Pathfinder, Wraith, and Lifeline or Bangalore. The top 6 teams from 2 rounds of qualifiers duked it out in the finals. The prize pool was divvied up in an odd way after each game, where teams earned cash prizes for placement, eliminations, and if you killed the prior champion squad, you'd get a $3,000 bonus. Final placement was based on total prize earned up to that point, which went to Rogue. The runner-up was NRG, and Dizzy once again stole the show.
You know him, you love him. It's gonna go to none other than Dizzy himself. This is for you. The smiles, the cheers, the jeers, but
with Dad out there repping for the Boomers.
Yeah, you know, when your son says, hey, I want to be a gamer, you're like, really? You know, I want to stream and make money. You're like, really?
And although things were seemingly going well at the start, the competitive scene wasn't really developing. And by late May, articles were being published about how Apex Legends revenue numbers were down 74%, and EA's stock dropped 5% because even after the release of Season 2, the game wasn't performing to their expectations. Apex's esports scene was looking bleak, and with still no announcement from EA about investing into Apex Legends as a competitive esports title, Fortnite swooped in with their unbelievably successful World Cup in July, peaking at over 2.3 million viewers with a well-filmed and casted event sporting prize pools well into the millions of dollars across the solo, duo, and creative game modes. Apex Legends was looking like a fart in a hurricane by comparison. Esports orgs like Soar Gaming, 100 Thieves, and Dignitas even disbanded their competitive teams before the end of the year. But before long, things started to shift toward pro play with the Twitch Rivals Apex Elite Queue Challenge 1 and 2 over the summer. Teams competed to win as many consecutive matches as possible in the new Elite Queue, where top 5 squads queued with other top 5 squads into a match where the ring closed faster and dealt more damage. TSM took first place at both events despite Apex's server issues not allowing them to actually queue into elite queues during the second challenge. Classic Apex servers. As part of ESPN's EXP event series featuring esports competitions at ESPN-owned events, they collaborated with EA to bring Apex Legends to both the 2019 ESPYs and the X Games in Minneapolis. The prize pool at the ESPYs Pro-Am was all donated to cancer research, and fans could donate for a chance to play with celebrities, athletes, and influencers.
I don't know what's going on over here. They gotta hold him back. Hold him back!
Mendo's trying to flex on him, and he's really quick.
Oh, dear Lord.
Oh, my goodness.
Someone help Jack, please.
It was a very casual event, with most teams getting carried by whoever on their team had actually played the game before.
I'm telling you right now, I'm looking around, everyone's nervous, right? Like, what's my setup? What's my sensitivity? Where's my controller? I don't know what I'm doing here. Devin and I were dropping in Skull Town every single game, and we're murdering everyone.
And I mean, wow, 75% of the event was spent having interviews like this.
Everybody loves pancakes. And everybody here, besides us, is about to get served.
Oh!
But hey, at least Dizzy and Mendo shared a special moment.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
he grapples him in.
He grappled him.
Super punch.
Oh no, he misses the kick. Dizzy gets the first hit. Mendo now tries to scurry around him on the right side, but Dizzy's chasing him down.
Duke.
This is not looking good here. Half health. Oh, and Dizzy! Oh, he's gonna get the win. He is the champion.
And it was no surprise who won MVP again.
But there's another trophy for you, Dizzy. You are the MVP of this match.
After whatever that was, the X Games were the complete opposite, with the competition being between pro players. Points were distributed by placement and number of elims over the course of 12 matches. On the surface, this all seemed great, with a big name like ESPN hosting a professional LAN tournament to be aired on TV with fierce competition and 20,000 spectators, but nobody really knew about it, and for the few that actually attended live said it was hard to find and the audio was impossible to hear because of, the X Games going on in the stadium. The only real marketing for the event was done in-game, and for those that caught the live stream, there was no overhead map of Kings Canyon to see who was dropping where, what the flight path was, or anything. There was no real way to know which teams were knocked out of the match. The casters didn't have much knowledge of the game, and some action was missed because of bad camera work, but there were solid dive and dick moments.
Time. R99 is going to go out. Bob and weave. Dive, dick, dive and dodge. Is he able to do it, though? The R99 in play. What a shot from the wingman. Unbelievable. He's going for the snapshot on the longbow, but it ain't going to happen. TSM gets the win. That was bananas. I can't believe he tried to go for the no-scope. I'm out of breath.
Pile the poo onto This Is America. There was a shooting around the same time, and ESPN didn't want to promote video game gun violence by airing Apex Legends on ABC, so it was delayed by over 2 months. But anyway, TSM took first, followed by Reciprocity and Sentinels, with Snipe Down winning the Predator title for most elims. Also in August was the Iron Crown Collection event that introduced the limited time solos game mode. Being the only time Apex would ever have a game mode for the friendless, Twitch held their solo showdown. 60 streamers across North America competed online in a custom lobby across 6 total games. Winnings were distributed to those in the top 5 and for whoever had the most kills in each game. Overall, Imperial Hal took first based on placement and kills, followed by ACU, Huskers, and Dizzy. A bonus was added for most elims across the 6 rounds, which went to ACU at 25, just 1 more than Hal. Then September capped off the major events of the year with TwitchCon San Diego, and finally, Apex Legends' first ever International LAN Championship organized by EA and Respawn in Poland.
This is insane. This is really the birthplace, if you think about it, of Apex Legends Esports, and the future is certainly bright.
Featuring the largest collection of competitive Apex Legends talent ever, the preseason Invitational lasted 3 days, massing 80 teams from around the world in a bracketed tournament for $500,000. Teams advanced based on placement and elims through the bracket into the grand finals, where the match point eligible mechanic was introduced that had become the staple for future Apex Legends tournaments. Basically, once a team had reached 50 points in the finals, they'd be considered match point eligible. After this threshold, there was no limit to the number of matches that may be played, but as soon as any match point eligible team won a match, they'd be crowned the grand champions. On the 11th intense match, it was down to the final 3 teams, with both Gamers Origin and TSM on match point.
Oh, this could be it. 2 teams on match point here. MVP pushing in. Can they get this first knock? Doesn't come in. Ross has to stay alive. Very low HP for the Wraith.
Very early iframe, so that's going to be a big setback there, but MVP is not the one we're worried about, as they're just a setback here for TSM. Who is going to do it? TSM are your champions.
It took them a while to get to match point, but in the end, they win back-to-back Apex Legends tournaments. Your X Games winners and your winners of the Apex Legends preseason Invitational.
Second place and the Apex Predator title for most kills went to the Ukrainian team, Navi. TwitchCon San Diego, on the other hand, was a whole different vibe. The douchebags were out in force.
I hear Daltouche.
I think it's a Daltouche squad. It's less about the controller, more about the man in front of us.
The casters had the munchies. Corn Pops got blue-balled.
So it's actually leaving
Baby! Give me a flick of the wrist, and Core Pops with a big banger onto the Wraith. He's going to get a full kill onto that one. Tries to see if he can get another one. The highlight plays are real. He's going to be able to refresh himself. The circle is moving, though. He doesn't have time to go over the wingman, but he is still rocking and popping.
He's not going to be able to pick up any of that loot, but he will make his way out of it here in a second. No! The whole team! No!
TSM had a hell of a showing once again, but in the end, Dizzy, ACU, and more took the win with ACU as MVP.
You're the MVP. There is your trophy. Be careful carrying that home along with your suitcase full of cash. But once again,
China has identified the cause of the mysterious new virus.
Coronavirus.
Coronavirus.
There are fears a rapidly spreading virus has reached Australia.
This is a rapidly emerging situation where there is not a cause for alarm.
The first U.S. case has been detected.
There's confirmation that COVID-19 has been found in toilet paper.
Oh my God. Thankfully, you don't have to leave the house or wipe your ass to play or watch games, so hours watched and played increased, but the pandemic really slowed down the competitive scene in 2020. Community-led events like Twitch Rivals and a couple Code Reds kicked off the year, but with Dr. Disrespect getting permabanned from Twitch, we wouldn't see the next Code Red event for over a year and a half. TSM hosted a fun invitational where each team was required to use the newest legend Loba, and Twitch Rivals hosted the Bloodless Battle, a charity event meant to promote blood disorder awareness, which it did, but ended up being a sweat fest filled with pro players because there really weren't many competitive opportunities for them throughout the year aside from the Apex Legends Global Series. Speaking of, the ALGS was announced at the end of 2019 with qualifiers to begin in January. 10 online tournaments, 8 premieres, and 4 majors with over $3 million in prize pool. Teams were supposed to be ranked by ALGS points per region, gained via placement in online tournaments to qualify for the bigger events. But with the world going into lockdown, EA decided to suspend all competitive gaming live events, postponing all in-person majors in the GLL and PGL Premier LAN events. With the shift to everything being online, the format of the ALGS was overhauled. 6 qualifier events would be held across 8 regions: North America, Europe, South America, Oceanic, Korea, Japan, Greater Southeast Asia, and the Middle East and Africa. Teams no longer would just be competing for ALGS points at each qualifier, as EA surprised everyone by adding $100,000 prize pools to each, but it was spread out across all regions, so winning teams only took home around $4,000 to $8,000 depending on their region size. Given how abysmally low the playouts were, the community backlashed, so EA upped the prize pool for just the second qualifier to $300,000 spread across all regions. Although better, it still wasn't much, but it was vital to show orgs and players that they were at least making a half-assed effort to invest in the development of competitive Apex. Teams advanced their qualifiers based on placement in elims through the round of 160, semifinals, and finals bracket until regional leaders were merged into 4 super regions where they faced off head-to-head in the summer circuit. And this is where things start getting really confusing, but the summer circuit was divided into 4 super regionals, 1 last chance qualifier, and then the playoffs. The top 8 to 10 teams of each super regional automatically qualified for the playoffs, with the remaining playoff slots filled by teams with the most ALGS points scored within the summer circuit after all 4 super regionals were completed. After the super regionals, the last chance qualifier let 2 teams qualify for the playoffs from each region. I'll link all the matches in the description below to save honestly both of us from a several day-long video, but the TLDR is that gold knockdown shields were removed from competitive, and there was a shit ton of Apex played and casted around the world during the summer circuit for a shared prize pool of $500,000. This whole format was repeated for the autumn circuit with a shared prize pool of $500K once again, and later the winter circuit for $750K. The GLL Masters Summer 2020, Spring 2021, and PGL Showdown also provided some mid-cash prizes with ALGS points up for grabs. And here's just a taste of how intense the matches were throughout those circuits.
Mites are going to hit, which is going to melt their armors. Hardeki's just going to tank it a little bit, go for that battery, but oh no, they're getting Crypto Ultimate, and there they go. Artico down, Gambit, Leogri down, and Hardeki no armor. He can't do anything here, but get away with 1 HP, takes the portal.
And he's gonna take that portal right to it. T puts in work. Oh my goodness! Hardeki just went huge. He just pushed 3 members of T-Rex, caught them off guard, and was able to take out every single one of them in the 1v2. Hardeki with 5 HP, a sliver in a dream, pops off with the EVA.
Teams that disbanded throughout 2020 included Fnatic's NA and EU teams, G2 Esports, E-United, Team Reciprocity, Gamers Origin, and MVP. Notably, one of the new up-and-coming orgs, Solafide, an underdog and crowd favorite, disbanded after not paying their League of Legends or Apex Legends teams their contract salaries. So the players left to rebrand back to their old team name, Aim Assist. But it was brief as the boys signed with G2 Esports as the org re-entered into competitive Apex in 2021. Joining as well were Renegades, Xset, Furia, Elevate, Torrent, Congarna, Cloud9, Era Eternity, and even 100 Thieves jumped back in with a new roster. And I wasn't sure if I wanted to include this or not, but some offensive things happened within the community as well. Midway through the year, there were some rumblings about a team of Xbox players looking to switch to PC to compete in the ALGS that had been banned for teaming in pred lobbies. Far worse, one of them was a known racist in the community with viewers that would go harass people of color while streaming. Somehow, they managed to get into the ALGS, contested TSM on drop almost every game they could, which led to a lot of toxicity between TSM fans and the supposed clout chasers.
I'm sorry, who was bagging my box in fucking GLL? I'm about to turbo bag the shit out of it.
Give him it, baby. Let me see it.
It's gonna be so fucking.
Hold on.
Can you fucking see it?
Hold on. So drop your nut snipe. Drop him in his mouth.
It all came to a hellish end with the team disbanding mid-tournament. The racist then rebranded under a new name to join another esports org, but within 4 days had his contract terminated because of, well, you know. It wasn't all bad news though, as 2021 brought prosperity for the entire Apex community. After releasing on Steam and Nintendo Switch, plus the addition of crossplay and some significant marketing each season, Apex boomed in popularity and with it, competitive prize pools. With the ALGS Championship fast approaching off the Winter Circuit playoffs, EA announced its $1 million prize pool and the openings for last chance qualifiers. To boost that prize pool, EA also announced 5 different skin bundles that could be purchased in-game to increase the winnings. Each purchase of any $20 to $25 bundle contributed $5 to the total prize pool, up to a cap of $2 million. Fans showed up, raising the total prize pool to over $2.5 million, but the real winner was EA, casually pocketing $6 to $8 million from the skin sale. Keep in mind that we, the fans, funded 60% of that total prize pool for a game that had just passed $1 billion in revenue several months prior. Anyway, the championship consisted of 40 teams competing across the North America and EMEA regions, with 30 teams in each the APAC North, APAC South, and South America regions. Teams began in the group stage where they were divided into groups of up to 10 teams. A round-robin schedule made each group compete against one another before total points across the group stage were used to advance 20 teams into each region's championship finals. Following the same match point eligible mechanic that I explained earlier, 5 grand champions rose to the top of their region out of the 170 teams competing globally. In North America, 8 out of the 20 teams were on match point, dropping into the final game, Game 9. With the final circle closing, 3 teams, Congarna, Space Station Gaming, and Renegades, found themselves in a bubble fight.
And Renegades being slightly focused here, but they've done so much damage. Can they spoil the party?
Oh, and it looks like they might. I tell you, SSG.
Just stay alive.
They lose one, but here comes bottom 20. They're coming in on the third party right now. Sorcerer has to bring out the Eva 8. Space Station were not taken down.
We can back down from this and they have to fight.
It's a game of peekaboo, and it looks like the move has been made down from Renegades to move in. They will be able to reset here, but no! Here comes bottom 20. What a story it would be! It's all down to Pow Pow. Can he get it done for Renegades? Bottom 20 will be the champions. Bottom 20 will be the ALGS Championship winners. Bottom 20. Rename yourself right now to top 1.
Ending with the ALGS Grand Champion for North America being Congarna, Europe, Middle East, and Africa was Scars, South America was Paradox Esports, APAC North was Fennel, and APAC South was Wolfpack Arctic. So many memorable moments, but debatably the most iconic being TSM's final circle revive and Game 3 win during the Grand Finals.
Trying to drill you, but if he can get to his box, if he can armor swap, get those weapons, that could be absolutely massive. As now teams are starting to move towards the circle because this building is not going to be it.
Reps just waiting
for the drop. Hal doing likewise. Shots coming down from above, but going to be exchanged. They're going to be caught in a caustic gas mess at the moment, but TSM kind of just watching everything go down. How managed to get a stick there onto Bronzy as well, as now Letter E are going to make their move. The bubble goes down. The ultimate goes down from the caustic. Keeping our eye on the feed as these teams fight.
Nice,
and
nice.
Snipedown is
Play
brought
me,
back
play me,
in.
play me, play me.
He's only got an heirloom to work with, but Snipedown's still trying to do what he can do.
He got 2 kills with the heirloom, but he's going to go down. And the rest of TSM is all one from Reps go through. Oh my just seen!
What did Reps just do? Somehow!
Good job, Jordan!
One of the best players in Apex has come up with one of the biggest plays we have seen in the Apex Legends Global Series. Reps is an...
Before we b-hop into ALGS Year 2, let's full send through the community-led tournaments throughout 2021 and into 2022 that brought even more viewers and players to Apex. In collaboration with EA, Lulu's first Throwdown was a fun, 2-day, $100,000 tournament teaming up content creators with pro players. The whole event was kicked off with the team captains playing in a single elimination bracketed boxing match with Dre throwing the most hands. After the box fight, day 1 was a kill race format heavily prioritizing aggression with more weight on elims instead of placement. Hal's team took first, followed by Timmy and Sweet. Day 2 was your more standard ALGS tournament format with Albreleli's team in first, followed by Hal and Dre. Lulu's second Throwdown was another 2-day tournament featuring content creators and pro players, but because Season 9 had just released with the brand new Arenas game mode, 20 teams raced to get as many points as possible over the course of 4 hours. Let's just say people were fully embracing the old Arenas L-Star meta, and in the end, Hal's team took first with Nokos in second and Violet Lexes in third. Day 2 went back to the Battle Royale mode, rotating between World's Edge and Olympus, with some points carrying over from the prior day's event. Hal's team won by a landslide, but third place was contested between 2 teams, so the default ALGS tiebreaker ruling stated that whichever team had the single best game won the tiebreaker, meaning Team Baby Nikki pushed out Team Mulvana. Nickmercs then got involved in November with his first MFAM Gauntlet, and again in January with a second. Both events had a $20,000 total prize pool for a couple qualifier rounds, and $50,000 was reserved for the first main event and $30,000 for the second Gauntlet's main event. 20 teams in a best of 6 with standard ALGS scoring. Once again, TSM took home the bag at the first event and Sweet's team took it in the second. But scoring was a little different if you tuned into Daltouche's cast.
Welcome to the MFAM 30K Johnson. If you look on your left, that is Nickmercs. Every time I say Johnson, you can take a sip. And then also another sip for every time Hal raises his voice in a negative manner. If he gets excited and it's positive, that does not qual. Has to be negative, probably geared toward his teammates.
You take it now? Bro, you're blocking me! Holy fuck, you guys are pissing me off.
Suck it, Hal. Shitter. Just kidding, dude. You're cool. We're friends. It's all right.
Probably the greatest tournament to date, Disguised Toast's $100,000 hide-and-seek invitational brought in creators from all backgrounds, including League of Legends, GTA RP, VTubers, and even some Apex pros. 3 Predator players, Timmy, Nightswig, and Noko, played as the hunters each round, dropping last out of the dropship with the only goal being eliminate as many players as possible. The Prey or Hiders were scored on their team's final placement across the 3 games, and they weren't allowed to do any damage. Huge was the first death, Fusli died to zone, Shifter was consumed by a dog as Wig jump roped on Pokimane, killed his boss Valkyrie, and was out there selling extended car warranties.
Hey! I'm here to talk about your car's extended warranty! Hey! What'd you Valko for me?
Nice quick. Finds Alexia. It's gonna BM her. Hit her with the jump.
Such a fun event, with Sweet Anita's team taking first for the Hiders and Timmy for the Hunters. Other creators and pros held their own tournaments over time as well, like Sweet's Invitational, Timmy's 2-day Random Royale, and of course, Daltouche's Invitational, casted by Immaculate Johnson himself. OTK hosted their own invitational with actual production, attempting to balance teams as best they could across content creators, variety streamers, and pros. 20 teams in a best of 6 with your standard ALGS scoring, rotating between World's Edge and Stormpoint. Snipedown, coming fresh off of Halo, and his team had a hell of a showing without using the Big Brother, and they won the tournament, embracing Coach Esvan's advice.
You know, just give me a damn gun, let me shoot them sumbitches. That's the way I see it.
All right, let's dive back into the sweat pool. Within days of each other, there was the $100,000 Samsung Odyssey Invitational, $50K JBL Quantum Cup, and $100,000 ESA charity tournament. The Odyssey Invitational was a shit show. There was almost no advertising and no main event stream either. The only way to watch was through a content creator actively streaming and participating in the tournament. What content creator meant was not well defined, and the rules were not well explained, so Samsung told several teams they couldn't compete just before the tournament, leaving only 16 teams instead of the standard 20. Players were grateful that companies were running events with bigger prize pools for the community, but when you've got pro players going up against someone like XQC and define them both as content creators, it's just not as fun for anyone. Well, unless you were on Sweet's team taking home 50K from a 16-team tournament. Oh, wow. And finally, we arrive in the second year of the Apex Legends Global Series. Different in many ways from the first year, the ALGS would now span across 5 regions: North America, EMEA, South America, APAC North, and APAC South. With each region broken down into 4 tiers of tournaments: qualifiers, challenger circuit, pro league, and playoffs, with the championship featuring the 40 best Apex Legends teams in the world competing for at least $2 million. Things kicked off in September of 2021 with 4 online preseason qualifiers to determine which 20 teams from each region would begin Split 1 competing in the Pro League, joining the 20 other teams that received direct invites. Teams that didn't advance through winning a qualifier or by cumulative points were placed in the Challenger Circuit. Essentially the amateur version of the Pro League, the Challenger Circuit first split ran in parallel with the Pro League's regular season and provided teams with the opportunity to compete to qualify for the Pro League in Split 2 qualifiers. The Pro League's regular season lasted 5 weeks in a double round-robin format, with each group of 10 teams playing each other's group twice. In that time, each team played a total of 36 games across 6 series, with Split 1 playoff qualification on the line. Before playoffs, the bottom 8 teams in each region were moved down to the Split 2 Pro League qualifiers, where they battled against Split 1's best-performing Challenger Circuit teams for a spot in the Pro League during Split 2. But before Split 2 came the Split 1 playoffs. $250,000 in total prize pool, $100,000 to the winning team, with 20 teams competing and playoff points up for grabs used to qualify for the next ALGS championship. This online tournament got everyone's blood rushing.
Look at the mouth of this tunnel. Look at the fighting going on with Energy making in this rotation. This was the call. They thought they were going to go long, but look at this. They're going to take this fight immediately to this squad from right inside. It's Exit that is actually going to be the victims here, as Team Liquid now also under some pressure. So much fighting happening on both sides of Landslide.
Absolute madness on screen right now.
After 6 matches, 5 teams had passed the 50-point match point eligible threshold: TSM, NRG, Sentinels, Esports Arena, and Premier GG. But in the final match 7 of the playoffs, $100,000 came down to one final 3v3 with TSM and Renegades.
Give me all that, give me all that, give me all that!
Love that comp, 38 flash.
Push!
One knock on Cost and TSM, 2v3 right now. Gibio going down, bubble going down. Hal's gonna phase into the bubble. They're gonna push in the bubble right now.
Nice.
2 knocks, last person, and TSM can win this shit. And they win. Let's go! Let's go! Let's fucking go! Let's go! Let's fucking go! Fuck all of you haters! I don't know who that was.
With Split 1 and the playoffs behind them, teams moved into the second split of the Pro League. Following the same format as the first split, teams battled for league placement and to qualify for the Split 2 playoffs, which were finally going to be in person after 2.5 years at LAN in Stockholm, Sweden. These matches were fierce as ever, but one moment that stuck was TSM's mid-circle res out in the open, followed up by perfectly timed grenades.
I'm reacting him right now.
Killed a Velk behind us.
Look us! Look us! Look us!
I knocked the Velk, I knocked the Velk.
They're running out of the bubble. I hit the white bits or something.
Now we will, just wait, just wait. Just wait, just wait.
Open these pills for me.
They're all dead, I think they're all dead.
Before the Split 2 playoffs, all seemed to be going well. Optic Gaming made their first entrance into Apex Legends competitive, and Luminosity returned with a new roster. But EA caught a lot of flack for some last-minute decisions. 2 days before the start of the playoffs, players learned that they'd be playing on mid-range PCs without upgrades as previously thought. Also, media access to the event was permanently blocked off, meaning there was zero media coverage during the event. And on top of everything, if a player had recently recovered from COVID and tested negative before Playday, they still weren't allowed to compete. But with over 650,000 peak viewers and more than double the watch hours of the ALGS Championship, it looked like Team Liquid was going to take the win in Game 6, but were denied victory by the solo caustic rat, JMW of Reignite Esports. What's crazy is that a day before the playoffs began, news came out that Reignite's controller god, Jen Burton, wouldn't be able to compete due to catching COVID. Reignite looked for a sub ASAP, enlisting JMW from Kungarna's EU team. Concerns about the team's synergy were blown away as Reignite came out red hot with a Game 1 victory and nearly halfway to match point eligible. Going into Game 7 of the finals, Team Liquid, Unite, and Reignite were all on match point. In the final circle, it looked like the Reignite boys would all suffocate to a well-placed Caustic ultimate by Luminosity. With almost no health, positioned out in the open, the team dropped in a mobile respawn beacon for cover while punching Sharky back into cover for a last-second revives.
The mobile respawn beacon to act as makeshift cover here for Reignite. They get the res onto Sharky. They couldn't get the dirty. This is still winnable for Reignite.
They res Sharky. Sharky is back in the game. Full forces now for Reignite. Ganja has to drop. It's all up to Optic Gaming as LG gets melted. The Dome Shield comes. Reignite is hiding and waiting and hoping that they can ride this wave.
Yeah, they're going to hang out behind the rock here. They got the mobile respawn beacon to play off of. Optic Gaming is engaging with Luminosity. Reignite to go in for the third party and take this entire victory.
LG is out. Optic Gaming skill cage goes out as well. Zero's going to do it. Wide left flank, and just like that, Reignite is going to do it. They are your champions. Australia comes all the way to Europe and wins.
And with a better love story than Twilight, JMW and the Reignite boys in black lifted the Champions Trophy in harmony as they topped the overall leaderboard, bringing home $250,000. Although the LAN event was a bit scuffed, it was the most successful Apex Legends tournament to date, with even higher expectations leading into the ALGS Championship in July. But between broken custom lobbies not being fixed for months, international visas being denied, and several legends still having broken abilities like Moba's bracelet and Wraith being invulnerable, some question if the championship would get postponed. In Season 13, after the playoffs, the Kraber received a controversial nerf, with it no longer being able to knock someone with max health and shields from a headshot. Although clamored for by the competitive community for years, the decision was hated by casuals that felt the crated heavy sniper rifle was no longer worth using. Anyway, 2 last chance tournaments to qualify for the ALGS Championship happened over the course of April and into May. Competing solely for a chance in the championship, teams with players like Nickmercs, Noko, Girl, and Mendo battled through 30-some games, facing off against pro teams like Sentinels, G2, Renegades, Complexity, CLG, and XSET. But in the end, only the top 2 teams would advance to the championship. Those teams were Furia and E8. Now, the top seed going into the championship will be Reignite with 600 playoff points from both splits, followed by Team Unite at 480, Team Liquid at 435, Optic Gaming at 415, and TSM at 410. The championship is split into 3 stages: the group stage on July 7th, bracket stage from July 8th to 9th, and the finals on July 10th, where the 20 best teams in the world will compete using the match point eligible format once again. The first team to pass 50 points and win the next match will be declared the best Apex Legends team in the world, taking home $500,000 from the total prize pool of $2 million at a minimum. It has been a long, painfully slow burn for the Apex Legends esports community over the past few years, but they are finally getting the recognition around the world that they deserve. Let me know who you think will take home the gold down in the comments, and if you're a time traveler watching this in the future, I hope you enjoyed learning more about the history of Apex Legends esports. There's way more Apex content on my channel, so if you like this one, you'll probably like those. Help a brother out by subscribing down below. Give me a kiss, and I'll see you next time.